All right, today we're diving into the really fascinating and, let's be honest, pretty controversial claims of Dr. Stephen Greer. He says he's had multiple encounters with beings that are, well, not human and not even fully in our dimension.
So let's start with this quote from Dr. Greer himself, because it really gets to the core of everything we're about to talk about. This idea that something can be right there with you, but completely invisible. That's the key to understanding all of his alleged encounters. Okay, so he uses this big word, transdimensional. But what does he actually mean by that? Let's break it down.
Dr. Greer explains it with this really great analogy of a dimmer switch. So imagine a being that can literally dial its own visibility up or down. One moment it's solid flesh and blood, the next it's kind of shimmering and see-through, and then poof, it's completely invisible to our eyes. But, and this is the important part, it's still there. This whole concept is absolutely central to his stories. To really see how this dimmer switch idea plays out, we're going to open up the files on 3 of Dr. Greer's most compelling cases. So, first up, our first case takes us down to the Gulf Coast of Florida for an encounter with something, well, something that was basically a being of pure light. Picture this. Dr. Greer's on a beach, and this entity appears just 10 or 15 feet away. He describes it as a beam of light, and he claims it's from a species that's a billion years ahead of us, with a form so advanced you might mistake it for an angel or something. This is that dimmer switch idea in action, right? It's present, but it's not solid in a way we'd normally recognize. Okay, next we're heading out to the desert for a group encounter. This one involves a lot more direct interaction, and believe it or not, it all leads up to a really startling photograph. Now, what's so interesting here is that this whole encounter didn't start with something the group saw. It actually started with a really strange shared experience that every single person there heard together, but nobody could explain. And this is where things get really weird. You have dozens of people all hearing the same voices, these disembodied voices speaking in a language nobody recognizes. But when they scan the area with night vision scopes, nothing. Absolutely nothing there. It was an event they could only hear, not see. But here's the kicker. While all this is going on, someone snaps a picture. And in that one single photo, an entity shows up that no one could see with their own eyes. This little being, who Greer calls Beiju, was captured on camera just floating there, and it looks like it's waving at them. So we've had a being of light, one that was invisible to the naked eye. But this final case file from Arizona, well, this one might be the most dramatic of all. It involves an alleged act of miraculous healing. So here's how this one apparently went down. First, everyone hears footsteps behind them, but again, no one's there. Then, this single beautiful point of ruby red light just appears in the dark. At that exact moment, a camera takes a picture. Later, a man in the group who is almost completely deaf asks this presence for help. The next morning, he wakes up and, according to his own account, his hearing is perfect. And this right here, this is the perfect illustration of that whole transdimensional claim. To everyone's naked eye, it was just a tiny teardrop of light. But the camera? The camera captured something totally different. A full 5-foot-tall being. It really makes you wonder, right? What if our technology can see parts of reality that our own eyes just can't pick up? So what did this photo show? Well, according to Greer, and he says it's unretouched, it revealed a being with a triangular, almost praying mantis-like head, a beak, and wearing what looked like some kind of tunic. This is the entity they nicknamed the Healer, and it's the one they directly connect to that man's impossible recovery. And that $5,000, that's what the man's hearing aids were reportedly worth. He literally threw them away the next morning, saying he just didn't need them anymore. A pretty tangible piece of evidence for an unbelievable claim. Okay, so we've looked at 3 pretty wild accounts: a light being, an invisible waver, and a healer. What's the thread that ties all of them together? So if you look at this, you can see the pattern really clearly. In every case, what people saw with their eyes was totally different from what was either actually there or what a camera picked up. The interactions got more and more complex, from just watching to waving to a physical healing, but the core idea, its nature, was always claimed to be transdimensional. And that's really the main takeaway here. It's this recurring pattern. Every single one of these accounts circles right back to that initial idea of a dimmer switch, this hypothesis that these beings can just phase in and out of our perception, interacting with our world without ever being fully physically here in the way we understand it.
So ultimately, these claims really challenge us to think about a reality that's way more complex than what our five senses tell us. We'll leave you with this thought. What if there are entire worlds right here in front of us that we just can't see? What if reality itself has a dimmer switch and we've only ever seen it on its lowest setting?